Hello everybody. Thank you for joining us for our first installment of How Not to Fail, our virtual sessions. How Not to Fail is a program for teens that is designed to teach them practical, hands-on life skills. We invite local community experts to come in and to share their expertise with our teens and to give them the knowledge and the skills that they need to really take on life like a boss. To start us off with our amazing journey in life skills, we have Ruben Perales, the Financial Wellness Manager from Fifth Third Bank. He is going to speak with you about how to begin budgeting your money and really take charge of your finances. Without further ado, Mr. Ruben Perales.
So welcome everybody. Thank you for spending some time today to join us with some of our financial education programming that we have today. So before we get started, let me introduce myself. So my name is Ruben Perales. I am part of our Financial Wellness Coordinator at Fifth Third Bank. I work with businesses, companies, nonprofits, school districts, and kids kind of like yourself today that are joining in. And I teach financial education. Today's got an exciting program that we have today. So what I'm going to encourage everybody, take some notes, have a pen, piece of paper, because we're going to have some little educational questions at the very end to really test your knowledge on the information that we're going to provide today. So today, part of our Financial Empowerment Day, we're going to talk about budgeting and savings. So before we jump into that piece, though, I want to make sure everybody understands budgeting and savings is so important in our everyday life. From young individuals, teenagers, even into young adults, and even into retirees. Budgeting and savings is one of my most favorite topics to teach, to talk about, and it's also one of those topics that is really hard for everybody to comprehend if they're not totally committed to understanding what budgeting and savings is. So with that said, let's jump right in. I want to start out today with a little warm-up activity. We're going to talk a little bit about financial goals. So remember when I told everybody to take out a piece of paper and a pen, I want to make sure we do a couple of things. First of all, I want you to write down 3 financial goals, okay? So maybe it's something that maybe you want to buy over the next 6 months. Maybe it's something that you're thinking about buying a year from now. And then even think long term. Another goal could be something 5 years out. I know that's hard to think about right now at our age, but think about something that you might be thinking of purchasing 5 years from now. So how much money do you think it'll take to save if you want to reach each one of those particular goals? It can be a little challenging because we never know how much we really need to save, okay? So now that you have one of these goals in mind, one of these 3 goals, I want you to pick one, all right? Pick one goal, and I want you to start thinking about how long or how many months do I have to save in order to reach that goal, okay? A little difficult to think that through, but here's what we're going to do. I want you to divide the total amount and the number of months that you think it's going to take to reach that goal. So now that you know how much you're going to need to save, let's figure out an example on how this will really work, okay? So let's assume you want to save $5,000. And in some cases, maybe you want to buy a car. Or maybe you're going to just save the $5,000 to buy that car as a down payment, all right? So what I want you to do is think, okay, $5,000, and now I want to divide that by 5 years or 60 months, okay? When you divide that by 60 months, it's basically going to take you 5 years to reach that goal by saving $83 a month. That's the calculation. So we took $5,000, which was your goal. We divided it by 60 months, which is 5 years, right? Comes up with $83. So right then and there, that's going to tell you with that first goal, it's going to take you 5 years to save $5,000, but you've got to put away $83 a month. Can you do that? Is that something that you think you can do? People are thinking maybe, maybe not. But what I'm saying is it really gives you that opportunity to figure out what it's going to take to actually get to that point. Now you're thinking 5 years, that's a long time. That is a really long time to try to save that kind of money. Can I be disciplined enough to do that? Some of you can, some of you can't. But what I want to now figure out now, so maybe you thought 5 years was too long. All right, I get that. That's a long time from now. We're not even thinking 5 years from now. We're just trying to think if we can get past this pandemic and get back to class, right? I'm sure that's what we're all thinking. So if you want to save that $5,000 in a less amount of time, all we really need to do is change that amount of $83. Now let's say we're going to save $100 a month to get to that goal. What that's actually really going to do for you, that's going to cut that time period down to just over 4 years now to save that money. So instead of 5 years at $83 a month, you can save that $5,000 by putting a little extra money towards that, take it to $100, you can do it in 4. So that just gives you guys a really idea of how you can calculate how to really save for some of these most important things that we're doing. Now, why do we budget and why do we save? I mean, those are eternal questions that everybody wants to know. Why am I budgeting and why am I really saving? But you got to remember, budgeting is really going to help you now and in the future when we're talking about any types of long-term or short-term goals. It's really going to help you save money as well, because we're always going to have things that are going to pop up that are going to be emergency expenditures that you may need to have extra money to pay some things that you didn't know were going to come your way. But I want to make sure everybody knows when we're saving, we could be saving for, as I mentioned a little bit ago, for a new car. Maybe we're saving just for a rainy day. Maybe we want to go on a vacation. Maybe we want to save for college. Hopefully everybody's thinking about that right now. We don't want mom and dad having to worry about taking care of all those expenses. So those are some things of why we do budget and why do we save. What I can tell you, saving and budgeting is really tough. I mentioned that to you earlier. You're always trying to figure out ways of how we can keep ourselves on track. The one thing I can recommend is try to only spend the money that you have, right? That sounds basic and it sounds logical, but more and more people get into financial troubles when they spend what they don't have. So try to keep that as a rule of thumb. Spend what you have. Try to keep track of your cash. Maybe you're working a part-time job. Maybe you're working a full-time job. Maybe you're just getting an allowance or you're counting on your birthday money or Christmas money or holiday funds, whatever it may be. But keep track of everything that you're taking in. Now, some people actually may have a bank account out there, and if you do have a bank account, I think that's fantastic. If you do have a bank account, hopefully you're saving money in a savings account. You're putting any of your birthday money or your holiday money into that type of an account. But then when you have an account, you may have what they call a debit card, right? And I'm not sure if everybody tuning in today knows what a debit card is, but a debit card is basically something you can use to make purchases instead of using cash. You'll go to a machine or a merchant, Publix, you'll purchase a couple of things, you'll use this card, that money comes right out of your account, your bank account, so you don't have to have cash that's changing hands. The reason I bring that up is because I want to make sure we knew the difference between cash and a debit card. Two different things, but it's so important that you keep track of all of your spending. Because if you can keep track of all your spending, you can definitely have a budget and stick to it. Now, I'm going to challenge everybody that's tuning in today. There's a little exercise that I'm not going to be able to track for you, but I want you to do something for me. Whenever you're tuning in to watch this, I want you to get to the Friday after, the Saturday, and the Sunday. I want you to pick 3 days after you've tuned in to watch. I picked Friday, Saturday, Sunday because those are usually the most active days that individuals like me and you may be out spending your money, right? So what I'm really looking for you to do is this thing. Anytime you spend money for 3 days, I don't care if you go to Taco Bell, Chipotle, you go to Subway, you go somewhere where you're spending cash or you're using your debit card, I want you to keep the receipt and I want you to log it. All right? I want you to do this for 3 days, and there's a method to this madness, okay? This is going to accomplish a couple of things. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to wake you up, and it's going to let you know what you're spending your money on. That's the most scariest thing to know, is what you're spending your money on. But if you write down everything that you purchased, first of all, you're going to know what you're spending your money on. Some of you tuning in are going to go, well, I didn't realize I was spending that much money. Or others are going to say, yep, I knew I was spending that much money. Now I need to do something about it. If you can do this for 3 days and you keep track of that, you come up with a final total for yourself, and then you're going to have a little heart-to-heart with yourself and think, boy, do I really need to be spending that much money? 2, do I even make that much money to cover what I'm spending? And 3, can I make adjustments now that I really know what I'm really spending my money on? I ask this of many of my students that come in and attend this live and in person, and when we get together the following week, is a real eye-opener to that situation. So most people, including mom and dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, that don't have a budget or don't work on a budget, and the reason they don't is because they're a little afraid to know what they're spending their money on, right? That can be an eye-opener. That's, again, why I'm asking you to do this little exercise. Because if you can do it for 3 days, guess what? You can do it for 5 days. And then if you can do it for 5 days, you can do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Do you understand the pattern I'm getting at? It's all about taking account and keeping track of your personal expenses, because this is your money, your hard-earned money that you're making, and you should be able to keep track of how you're spending your money. That, in a nutshell, is kind of your budget, right? Now, when you have a budget, it's so important that you stick to it, right? Like anything else, when we learn to exercise, right? Boy, we don't like how we feel the next day. We're sore, we're tired, we're cranky. But if we keep exercising day after day after day, it gets to be a routine, right? You get used to doing something, and then it's second nature. Same thing should be with your personal finances. You should really be concerned about your personal finances. So making sure you keep track of these types of finances in a budget form is really the best thing you can actually do. Now, so important to keep yourself on track. So how do we really do that? One of the things that you really can do is you can start setting aside monies from each paycheck, right? You can put them aside for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and so forth, in order to save for any expenses that you know you already have, right? You did this little homework exercise, so you know where you're spending your money. Well, now you know how much money you're spending, so now you've got to kind of keep track and put some money aside. In what I would like to say, maybe a savings account of some sort, right? So you can actually save. Now, I do want to tell you, there are some rule of thumbs when you're doing a budget. Most of the time, the individuals tuning in, you guys, your budget's going to consist of, when you're spending money, it's probably going to be for entertainment, right? I'm assuming most of us tuning in don't have a mortgage payment. Maybe you have a car payment, but you don't pay rent. Maybe you're staying with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. So you don't have a lot of those types of bills that are typically out there. But the key is, you don't have them now, but you will. You will eventually have those types of bills. So what I'm going to ask you to make sure you do is you want to put about 5 to 10% of your earnings kind of away somewhere, right? So that you can save that part of it for yourself. You got to be patient, though. That's the key. When you're saving money for budgeting and for other things, be patient. You're not going to accumulate a lot of wealth right away. You're not going to be able to handle that types of income growth quickly. It takes time. I want to make sure you do that. Okay, so remember, when we're saving money for our budgeting expenses, you have to be patient. So it's so important that you budget anywhere between 5 and 10% of your income. Budget that off to the side so you can utilize that for some of these expenses that you're going to be incurring. And remember, most of you that are watching tonight or today are really you're budgeting for entertainment purposes for the most part. I'm assuming most of you don't have a house payment, or a rent payment or anything of that nature. So that's going to really allow you an opportunity to really save some money. But remember, you got to be patient. Be patient through this process because it's not something that you're going to be able to accumulate large amounts of money quickly. Like anything else, it does take time. So make sure you're patient as we're looking to save money for our budgeting purposes. Okay? So now, how do we really save? You know, spending money on what you actually need, not what you think you need. So I want everybody to remember or think back of the days, maybe it was second grade, third grade. Remember the needs and wants things, right? We always had to determine, is this actually a need or is this actually a want? There was a reason for that you learned that back in the younger days. This is so important that you're understanding what is actually a need and what's actually a want. And we're not going to go over those right now. I think you guys kind of know the importance of needs and wants. But that's going to be very critical when it comes to actually saving money. I'm going to mention a term that maybe you may have heard this, maybe not. But I want you to remember this now at your age and even as you grow up and you get into older adulthood or middle age and when you have children as well. The term I'm going to use is pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. It's so important that you always try to pay yourself a little extra or a little something, no matter what the amount is, in a savings account. Put something away. When you have a regular paycheck, a lot of times you can have what they call a payroll deduction, where they can actually set up how much money goes to a particular account. I always recommend you put $5, $10, whatever that amount is, that's paying yourself first. It's out of sight, out of mind, right? When we do that, we're really able to start saving money and we don't even know that we're doing it. We're saving ourselves a little money, paying yourself first. If you don't have a job that allows direct deposit or an automatic deposit, you can always do an automatic transfer once a month. You can actually set up something to come from one account to another. You can put it in a special savings account. Whatever it is, you can initiate that yourself. But the big word of the day is discipline. You have to be disciplined enough to schedule some things like this that's really going to help you. Now, I can't stress enough, we don't want to wait. Don't wait too long. I know some of you are tuning in, may think, oh, I'm too young, I'm not making any money quite yet. Others are saying, well, I'm starting to work, but I don't make hardly any money yet. The biggest problem we can have is we procrastinate. We wait too long to start saving money. I want to just share some things with you that you're going to see in a slide here. If you saved $5 a week at, let's say, a 5% interest, and if you started saving when you were 18, all right, you would have about $45,000 saved by the time you were 65. All right, so we're going to pause. $5 a week, I'm saying, right? What can you spend or not spend with $5 a week? What are you spending now? And you're going to know when you do that exercise I asked you to do. But what are you spending with $5 a week? I'm sure you can find lots of things that you're spending your money on for $5 a week. That's just kind of something that we really don't actually need. Remember, needs and wants. We talked about that a little bit ago. Make sure you're doing this. So if you do this, $5 a week, by the time you're 65 at a modest 5% rate, $45,000 put away. Now, to put that in perspective, if you wait until you're 19 years old, I'm going to wait, I'm 18, I'm going off to college soon, I can't afford $5. But if you wait just that 1 year to start saving that $5, that's a difference of a $2,500 difference right then and there. You're only going to make $43,000 over that period of time. But here's where it gets troubling. Here we go. We're going to jump ahead a little bit. Boy, can you think about when you turn 40 years old? Nope. All you're going, I don't even know what that really means. But guess what? You're going to get there. But if you wait until you're 40 years old and you start doing exactly what we just talked about, that $5 a week, and then you wait till you're 65 to collect, guess what? $11,900. That's all. So by procrastinating and waiting too long to start saving, it's really going to hurt you in the long run. Okay? Keep that in mind. So one of the things I want to make sure everybody understands, some of you are thinking about college. Some of you maybe have already been accepted to go to college, and some of you maybe aren't quite there yet. But I want to share a story with you so that you kind of understand what credit cards can do to you as an individual. They're not a bad thing to have, but I want you to understand this. I have a 26-year-old daughter and a 22-year-old son. One's already graduated college. The son, I don't know if I can ever get him to graduate college. I'm working really hard to get him to graduate. But they've both had experiences with credit cards. And not because Dad, who's been doing this for 34 years, has taught them. It's when they went off to college, and you're going to go off to college maybe one day, you're going to be out, and you're going to be out at the bookstore, or you're going to be out in the quad area, you're going to be in a social area. They're going to have all kinds of credit card offers out there. There's going to be tables where they say you sign up for this credit card and you'll get this great t-shirt, or sign up for this credit card and you'll get this tumbler that has your university name on it. And guess what? You want that t-shirt and you want that tumbler, don't you? Yeah, because everybody's got one. They're walking around campus with it. So you think, I'm going to sign up for this credit card. And I shared with you the experience of my 26 and 22-year-old is that they did the exact same thing, didn't realize that, you know what, they have to pay that. When they have a credit card, it's not free money. You have to pay that. It's like a loan. So both of them got into a little bit of issues or troubles, not realizing that they're using this credit card that they were just able to obtain, and they forgot they had to make payments on it. And then a lot of other things happened, but moral of the story, it was the most expensive t-shirt that my son and daughter ever bought because of that credit card. So that's what I'm going to say about credit cards. I'm not going to spend too much more time, but I want to make sure you understand, if you have one, don't overuse it, right? Use it wisely. But it's always important when you're saving money and you're working hard to save money that you do reward yourself. You buy yourself something for doing all the hard work. It's always good to get some type of reward. So what I want to talk about now, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about earning interest. Earning interest. And let's talk, what is interest? Interest is really a fee paid on a borrower's assets. It's the price paid for the use to borrow money. So you could pay interest to buy a car. You're going to pay money plus extra money, or it's the money that you save that you're going to earn something extra on. So think of it two ways. Remember, you're going to pay interest, is something you pay to utilize credit, but interest is also good because you're going to earn some extra money on your own money. Now, I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this for 34 years. You heard me say this a couple times. Boy, the interest rates aren't always the best right now. So that means if you put money away somewhere, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, you're not going to earn a lot of money on your own money, but you're going to earn something, and we're going to talk about it. So it's very simple. The longer you save, right, the more money or interest you're going to earn. We shared those scenarios with you a few minutes ago about saving when you're 18, 19, and 40, earning money, letting it grow so that you can actually have some reward. So how interest kind of works, we're going to talk about the compounding method, or how interest compounds. That's just basically the money that you save, you earn some interest on. And when you don't do anything with that, you let it sit, it kind of keeps adding on itself. It kind of keeps growing. So the interest, if you start out with $100 and you're paid 1% interest per month, at the end of that first month, it's probably going to be about $101. So yippee, you made up $1 through that process. But compounding interest mean the next month it is going to be up to $102 and maybe 1 cent. So it's going to continue to grow on itself. It can get extremely complicated when you're talking larger amounts. But basically, I wanted to share with you a little bit of how that works. It's always a good thing to let your interest continue to grow on itself. Okay? So let's move on. This is going to be one of the more popular things that we talk about today. Hopefully you may have heard about this. It's called the Rule of 72. It's kind of a rule of thumb when it comes to estimating how your investment, which is something that where you put money away for a period of time, how much it's going to grow, how much money, interest, and how much money you're going to have at the end of that transaction of saving that money. So the way it really works, it's the rule of 72. It can really tell you approximately how long it's going to take you to double your money. All right? That's a big one. Everybody's excited now because we're talking about doubling how much money. Who doesn't want to double your money, right? More money. We're not gambling here. We're talking about putting your money away for a period of time, but so that you can really benefit from the savings portion of it. So if you're interested in doubling your money or figuring out how this actually works, here's kind of the way it's set up. So as you're going to see the slide, what you're going to do is you're going to divide the number 72, because this is the rule of 72, by your investment's expected rate of return. So let me talk normal here for you. So basically you take 72 and you divide that by whatever interest rate you're going to get. It's usually a percentage. You heard me talk 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever that percent is, you're just going to divide it, but you're not going to add the percent. So in this, using 5% as an example here, you're going to take 72, divide it by 5, because the interest rate's 5%. It comes up with a number of 14.4. So do that real quick on your calculator, your phone, whatever. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page where you can see this. So you take the rule of 72, that's the number, the starting number, divide it by an interest rate, and we're going to use 5%, 14.4. So what does that mean? It's going to take me 14 years to double my money, okay? It doesn't matter how much money you're putting in, it's going to take you 14 years because we're taking the rule of 72 divided by the interest rate. Now, if you're using a 6% or 8%, it's not going to take you as long to double your money. So the higher the rate, the shorter time it's going to take to double money. Okay? You can do this. I'm asking you all to play around with this at your own time, but take a peek on how long it's going to take you to double your money. The rule of 72, it's so important that if you understand this now at your age, boy, oh boy, by the time you get to be middle-aged, young adults, even into middle-aged seniors, it's going to make things so much easier for you when you understand how quickly you can actually double your money. So I think it's so important to think about that. The slide that you're going to see now, and we're not going to go over all of these, but the slide that you're going to see is really going to talk about how long it's going to take you to double a $10,000 investment, right? It's going to break down to get $20,000, it's going to take you 14 years. But we want to double that $20,000 to $40,000. We're just going to add 14 more years. It's going to take you 28 years. And then if you want to double your $40,000 to $80,000, we're going to take that from 28 years to 42 years. You're going to see examples of this. It's just a really good tool to review to give you an idea of how the rule of 72 works. All right. Boy, I'm getting hungry because it's almost lunchtime. Pizza or retirement? I threw that at you thinking, what is he talking about? Pizza or retirement? Here's another way you can look at how interest can compound. All right, let's talk about this. So how much does really a slice of pizza cost? I don't know, different places cost different amounts. It's not $65,000 though, right? If it's $65,000, I'm in the wrong business. I should be making pizza for a living. So let's assume a slice of just cheese pizza costs $2. I mean, that's pretty conservative. And then you buy a slice of pizza every week until you're old enough to retire. I think I'm almost there. I think I buy a slice almost every day. But if you do that until you're old enough to retire, so let's say 50 years, guess what? You're going to spend $5,200 on pizza. Okay, sounds kind of crazy, right? Remember, I told you to write down everything you're spending your money on earlier, right? You'll be able to know if this is what you're doing. So, Think about this. If you gave up that slice of pizza and instead of buying that pizza, you've invested it in something, right? You invested it in a savings account or some type of higher interest bearing account where you're going to earn something, and you let it compound. You let the interest grow and grow and grow. For 50 years, guess what? You're going to have $64,678 and some change. That's why I asked you, how much was a slice of pizza? Is it $65,000? Well, guess what? Yep, it kind of is if you're able to give that up for that $2 each time you do it weekly instead of investing it, right? I hope we're starting to understand a little bit of why it's important to budget and save money. There's so many things that you guys can do by having little strategies to start saving money. You heard me say time and time again, what can we give up? What can we do with that? And then can we be disciplined enough to make sure we're doing things that are going to affect us in a positive way for our financial future? Because mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, teachers, we can help you. They can help you and give you some advice of what to do. But when push comes to shove, it's really up to you. What you want to do, how you want to do it, and it's really going to be important for you to take care of your own financial needs, your own financial goals. All right? All right, we're going to spend probably the next 10 minutes. We got a few more things to go over. We're going to talk a little bit about some ways, again, to invest money, because we're staying on this savings kick, and I want to share some things. Hint, hint, these might be on the end quiz. We don't know, but keep in mind, so pay attention here. But here's some ways that you can invest your money. Some are more riskier than others. Some are very safe. So a savings account, right? Everybody may understand what that is. That's basically where you go to a bank, credit union, you put money in an account. It's very low risk. You're never going to lose that money. You put that in, it's better than bury it in the basement, in the backyard, or underneath your mattress. You put it in a bank account and it'll start earning you a little bit of money, right? That interest that we talked about, right? The pros to really this is you can save money. You can earn your interest. It's insured, it's protected. You'll never lose that money. Banks and credit unions are insured by the FDIC, so you'll never ever lose money. Now, there's always a downside to everything. The con to a savings account, as we're going over pros and cons, is boy, you're not going to earn a whole lot of money, right? We talked about your interest rate is going to pay you very minimal, so it's going to take you a little while to kind of reach your financial goals, just putting money in a savings account, okay? You may or may not have heard something called a money market account. A money market account, very less risky, it's very similar to a savings account. They're just going to require you, banks and credit unions, to put a little bit more money. So that means you just can't open a money market with $10. You're probably going to have $500 or $1,000 to start it. But then the bank's going to reward you and pay you a little bit more money with interest on that, because you're being nice enough to let them take your money and invest it into something else, right? So the pros, little higher interest rate. It's insured, like I mentioned, by the FDIC. The cons to that could be, like I mentioned to you guys, it's going to cost you a little bit more money. So students like yourself, you may not have $500 or $1,000 to invest or to put in a money market account. But the goal would be start with the savings, work your way up to the money market as you start saving more so you can earn more money on your own money, okay? Keep that in mind. Another part of an investment at a bank or a credit union is called a certificate of deposit, or a CD. You probably have heard this name before, or acronym. You may not have one. The CD is not the CD that you put in you listen to music. Don't think of it that way. This is something that you give money to the financial institution. They invest it for a term, for a period of time. And what does that mean? They tell you, you're going to give me at Fifth Third $500, and we're going to say, you know what, Sue, John, Tom, Kathy, we're going to give you a good rate, 3%, but you can't withdraw it for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. The longer you let the bank hold your money, the more interest they're going to pay you to do it, right? So if you've got extra money floating around and you don't think you're going to need, a CD might be the way to go, or certificate of deposit. Remember, we talked savings is basic, not going to pay much. We talked about the money market. It's going to pay you a little bit more, but it's going to require you to give them a little more money. Well, now a CD, no risk to it. That's a pro. But the con is they're going to hold on to it for a little bit longer of time. You're not going to be able to withdraw it right away. Now, those of you say, well, what do you mean I can't withdraw it? That's my money. I worked hard. I gave them that money. Well, how can I not withdraw it? Well, they're going to let you withdraw it, but they're going to charge you a little penalty or a little fee. So what may happen is if you told them, you made an agreement with the bank, I want to open up this 12-month CD, you're going to pay me 3%, but I need it in 6 months because I had an emergency come up. What's probably going to happen is the bank is going to take back that 6 months worth of interest that you thought you earned on it, right? So they'll never take away from your principal amount that you started with, but the penalty will be something of the interest that the bank paid you, okay? Keep that in mind. Okay, now we're getting into some really nitty-gritty stuff. We're talking about mutual funds, another way to invest your money. You may have heard something of this nature, what a mutual fund is. It's basically where you're giving somebody your money to invest into stocks, bonds, just a lot of different entities that they may take your money to do this with. Now, there's a big risk, right, for this. And one of the biggest risks, not sure if anybody tuning in today pays attention to the stock market, how high the numbers go. It goes up, it goes down. It's a crazy thing. It's like a roller coaster. It's constantly doing weird stuff, right? So mutual funds are going to be very risky in a sense that they're going to go up and then they're going to go down. And they're going to go up and they're going to go down. So what does that do to you? Well, it's going to, your money, you're going to think you're earning a lot of money on interest, but then the next day or a week later, you could lose it all again. So it's something to think about. I typically talk about mutual funds with individuals that don't really care about if they lose money or make money. I don't know that too many people that are like that, but there are quite a few that are thinking, you know what, if I put it in a mutual fund, I know eventually it kind of does this, it goes up, down, but over time it seems to go higher. It seems to always make money. When you're younger, you might have an opportunity to do this when you're kind of ready to do it. What I recommend, if you get to the mutual fund piece and you're thinking that through, please talk to somebody that is a professional. When you're sick, you go see your doctor. When your car breaks down, you go to see a mechanic, right? And when you have questions about financial information, go see a professional. Go see your banker or your credit union employee, whoever it is. Mom and dad are great, grandma and grandpa's great too, but please see someone that's a professional because they're there to help you make a determination, right? So mutual funds we already talked about. The last thing I think that we're going to talk about is stocks. All right, stocks. That is the most risky piece. Mutual funds roll into stocks. There's different things with that, but stocks are very, very risky. You buy stock in Subway, you might buy stock in Pizza Hut, or you might buy stock in Publix, or whatever publicly traded companies are out there. That just means you're buying shares. You're buying part of ownership in a company, but you have not a lot of control of what that company does or the performance. Yeah, you can go buy stuff from there, you can shop from there, but that is extremely, extremely risky. It's the highest risk of them all. But the pros is that you get to own part ownership in a particular company, and you really have the potential to earn good money over time. You're not going to earn a lot of money in a week or a month. It's over time. Remember, the cons to that is a high risk to stocks, and you could actually or potentially lose all of your money. So it's almost like gambling a little bit because you could lose all of your money. This is another area that I do recommend you talk to somebody or a professional before you decide to jump into this. And you guys are thinking, okay, I'm 13 years old. I'm 18 years old. I'm not even thinking about that, right? Yep, but guess what? I think eventually you may be as you start to grow, mature, and you start handling your own personal financial situations. So, okay, We went over a lot of information over the last several minutes, okay? What I really want to do is take a minute. I asked you to pull out your piece of paper and a pen, and we're going to go over some questions that really should help test your understanding of the information that we provided. All right, so as I mentioned, hopefully everybody has that piece of paper and pen ready, because we're going to really test your knowledge. And what I'm really asking everybody to do is a couple of things. Post your answers in our comment section, because some of these you should be able to answer pretty quickly. Or if you're not sure about any of these, tune in for our next installment, because I think we're going to go over the answers. You'll be able to kind of test your knowledge again. So before I wrap that up, I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation, and I hope everybody took a little bit something away from the presentation. So let's jump in, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to circle the best answer. Now, some of these might have more than one correct answer. Keep that in mind. That's a hint. First of all, why is it important to budget? Okay, so your choices. You'll have more money in case you need it later. B, for meeting long-term goals. Or C, hopefully nobody thinks this, budgeting is worthless. All right, pick one of those or two of those and put them in your comment section. Number 2, how much should you budget for entertainment? I think we talked about this, right? A is 100%, B is 8%, or C 15%. Whatever you're thinking here. Number 3, we didn't even really discuss this in detail, but the envelope system. And I'm not even sure if we talked directly about this, but what is the envelope system? And we're going to talk about this now more, because I'm guessing we didn't talk about this moving forward, because I don't recall talking it. But the question is, what is the envelope system? The choices are, when you put all money you can spend in one envelope, that's A. B, a great way to deliver mail. Or C, what all your bills come in. All right? I'm going to want you to pick one of those answers. Now, number 4, how much money should you keep for a rainy day fund? A, 1 year's worth of expenses. B, it never rains where I live. Or C, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Pick which one you think there. Number 5, what is a good way to save money? A, let's let your friends pay for everything. Now, hopefully some of you don't think that, but B, never leave your house, but though it feels like that sometimes now with the pandemic. Or C, set up automatic transfers into an account. I think that might sound familiar. All right, let's keep ourselves going. Number 6, if you saved $5 a week at 5% interest starting from the time you were 18, I know this is sounding familiar, guys. How much money would you have saved by the time you're 65? Is it A, about $45,000? Is it B, age 65 is too far away, so I don't worry about that? Or C, $134,000? What do y'all think on that one? Now, here's one of my favorites. What is the rule of 72? Remember that? We talked about that thoroughly. Is it A, the tool that estimates how your investments will grow over time? Or is it B, there are too many rules for me right now? Or C, the rule that comes after 71? All right, number 8. What does CD stand for? Yeah, remember this one? Is it A, compact disc, B, certificate of deposit, or C, creamy donuts? Yeah, that sounds good right now. Yep, yum. Number 9. What are some forms of savings? Is it A, buying 2 for $1 sodas? Is it B, CDs? Or is it C, buying a backwards bathrobe so you don't have to heat your apartment? Last one for us. Which form of investments has more risk? A, investing in a motivational speaking program. B, a savings account. Or C, mutual funds. All right, so hopefully you guys were able to kind of answer most of those questions pretty easily. Hopefully you felt good about what you've answered. As we mentioned, please put your answers in the comment boxes, or again, tune in, and we're going to answer those questions for you with another segment. All right, everybody, I do appreciate the time that everybody's provided here today. Thanks for joining us. Please put any comments that you have about the suggestions in the comment section as well. I am going to share some of my information of how to reach me if you have any questions or anything that you need answered in more detail. Please feel free to reach out to me via email. Usually is the best way to reach out to me. I'd be happy to respond to you moving forward. But thank you again for joining us.